Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really fundamental choice you have to make all the time in Python: lists versus tuples. Now, they look so similar you might think they're interchangeable, but picking the wrong one can lead to some sneaky bugs and even slower code. So let's break down exactly when to use each one so you can get it right every single time. So you look at lists and tuples, and you're probably thinking, why do we even have both? I mean, they both hold a bunch of stuff in a certain order. What's the big deal? Well, it turns out there is one key difference, and understanding it is one of those little secrets to writing much safer, faster, and just better Python code. The entire conversation, literally everything we're about to talk about, boils down to one single concept: mutability. I know, it's a bit of a technical sounding word, but the idea behind it is actually super simple. Can you change something after you've already created it? And just look at the code. I mean, syntactically, they are nearly identical. A list uses those square brackets, and a tuple uses parentheses. It's such a tiny difference when you're typing, but it results in a massive difference in how your program actually behaves. And right here, this is the heart of it all. Lists are mutable, which is just a fancy way of saying they're changeable. You can add things, remove things, swap things out. They're flexible. Tuples, on the other hand, are immutable. Once you create one, that's it. It's locked in, set in stone. And this isn't a weakness, it's a feature, it's a guarantee. All right, let's actually see this in action. We'll make a simple list, and then we'll just decide to change that first element to the number 99. And no problem. Python does it, the list is updated. That's the flexibility of mutability right there. But now, watch what happens when we try the exact same move with a tuple. We try to assign that new value, and bam, Python throws a type error right in our face. Now, this isn't a bug in your code. This is Python doing its job, enforcing that fundamental rule: tuples are immutable. You simply cannot change them. So, since lists are specifically designed to be changed, Python gives us this awesome set of tools to do exactly that. Let's take a quick look at how you can really work with them. This flexibility is exactly why you'll often hear lists called the workhorse of Python's data structures. When you need to add things to a list, you've got choices. Append is your go-to for just sticking a single item onto the end. Extend is what you use when you have a whole other collection of items and you want to add all of them at once. And then there's insert, which gives you surgical precision to put an element at any specific spot you want. Taking things out is just as versatile. The del keyword is like a sniper. It targets an item by its exact position. Remove is more like a search and destroy. It finds the first item that matches a value you give it. And pop. Pop is really cool. It removes an item by its index, but it also gives that item back to you, which is so useful when you need to do something with the thing you just removed. Okay, sorting. This one trips up a lot of new developers, and it all comes down to one really important distinction. The .sort method. It changes your original list. It modifies it in place. But the sorted function is much more polite. It leaves your original list completely alone and just hands you a brand new sorted copy. Knowing that difference is going to save you a lot of headaches, trust me. All right, so we know lists are super flexible, but that begs a question. Why would you ever want something that can't be changed? Well, it turns out that inflexibility is actually a superpower. Let's shift over to tuples and see how their immutability acts like a guardian for your data. This quote I pulled from a developer forum just nails a critical real-world problem. Python dictionaries have one strict rule. Their keys have to be hashable. Now, that's just a technical term that means they must be guaranteed to never, ever change. And because a list can change, Python straight up forbids you from using one as a dictionary key. And this is where the tuple comes in to save the day. Because it's immutable, a tuple is hashable. So here, we're using a tuple that contains a name and an age as a unique key in our dictionary. This is a really common and powerful pattern. You're effectively guaranteeing that the key identifying your data will always be the same. So beyond keeping your data safe, the choice between a list and a tuple has real, measurable effects on your program's performance. And you might not notice it with a handful of items, but when you're dealing with huge amounts of data, these differences can be dramatic. So just take a look at the memory usage. See that difference? For the exact same data, the tuple is just leaner. It takes up less space. Why? Well, lists have to set aside some extra memory, just in case you decide to add more things later. Since tuples know they'll never change size, they don't have that overhead. They're more efficient. And it's not just memory. It's also about speed. This chart shows that looping over millions of items is just plain faster with a tuple. Behind the scenes, Python can make some really clever optimizations because it has that guarantee that the tuple's contents and size will never change. For large, static sets of data, that performance boost is a really big deal. So we've covered mutability, we've looked at specific use cases, we've even talked performance. Let's bring it all together into a final, practical guide. How do you actually decide which one to use when you're writing your code? Okay, here's your cheat sheet. Use a list when you know your collection is going to need to grow or shrink or just change over time. It's your go-to for dynamic data. You should use a tuple when you want to protect data from being changed by accident, when you need a key for a dictionary, or when you're trying to squeeze out every last bit of performance for data that's not going to change. So, at the end of the day, choosing between a list and a tuple, it's more than just a technical decision. It's a statement about your intent. It's a promise that you're making to yourself and to anyone else who ever reads your code. Are you promising flexibility and the ability to change, or are you promising stability and integrity? What promise does your code need to keep?